Hello, average engineers. Today I wanted to talk about an article I wrote a while ago. I'll put a link in the comments. The title was, "What are the hard parts of being a senior plus engineer?" This was an interesting article I've been wanting to write for a while, and I've been wanting to talk about it for a while. I think that there's a lot of misconception early on in people's careers that being a good programmer is just about writing good code or writing a lot of code, whatever that means. Especially when you start out early, I was the same way. You have a lot of fun writing code, you're getting into it, you're learning a lot, you think you need to understand everything, and you think that's what software engineering is all about, is simply putting out enormous amounts of code, good code. I think that's true to a certain extent for senior engineers, but I think it's more than that. I think that ends up being the small part. Anyone who's been a senior plus, staff, principal engineer, the more you lead people, the more you get senior level, you realize that being able to write good code is just a prerequisite to get on the bus. It's just a ticket to ride. And I think being good is, a little vague, but I mean, you probably need to be at least better than average. You probably need to know more than one language. You just need to be a good programmer. But that's actually the smallest part of being a senior engineer. I think that's one sign that you're not the senior level engineer yet, is if you are writing code all day, that's all you do is just write code and output code by yourself. I mean, that's one sign that you're probably not there yet. So what is it? What are the hard things about being a senior plus engineer? Well, first, a lot of it is soft skills, working with other people, building consensus among others. If you're working in software, you're typically working on other teams. Just being able to lead others, maybe not tell them what to do, but just have the people look to you, be able to work with other people to solve problems, being able to see the big picture. Senior engineers spend a lot of time thinking at high level about things, about problems. They help other people solve problems. They mentor other engineers. They help them grow. They don't have to be the smartest person in the room, like I've already talked about. They're really just helping teams accomplish things. That's what takes you to the next level as a software engineer. And I think that kind of leads into another thing that separates senior engineers, is they do a lot of thinking and designing before they write code. That's one big difference I've seen, is a lot of junior engineers, people knew it's all about the code to them at that point, which is fine. They're learning, but they just want to dive straight into the problem. They just want to dive into writing code, when really they should step back and do some design processes, think about things, think about architecture, think about what they're going to write and how they want to write it before actually diving in, thinking about the requirements, working through them, working through what they think the solutions should be, a couple other solutions, asking for input. I think that's one of the hard parts, is just thinking before doing. And of course, that kind of relates to project planning. As you get to more senior levels, a lot of time you spend is actually planning, like I just talked about, thinking, planning. Some new project might come up that you're in charge of, and you actually might spend a lot of time doing project planning, making designs, doing implementation plans, thinking about how to implement things. So you actually spend a lot of time thinking about timelines, trying to come up with different general tasks that are going to be required to do this, and thinking through all the edge cases and every little piece you have to do. Again, that's part of being a senior engineer, is planning projects, planning the implementation of projects, thinking about it at a high level before actually diving into just writing code and not really knowing what the end even looks like or how long it'll take to get there. And that kind of leads into another topic of just people skills. Senior engineers need to have good people skills. They need to be able to work through conflicts with other people, which can happen a lot in tech. People have big egos and they don't like being wrong, especially when it comes to their code. They take it personally. A senior engineer is able to let people make mistakes or let others write difficult parts of code, instead of grabbing for those, I want to work on that thing or that fun thing, and take that, no, let this other person, let me help them work through this problem, see how much they grow, see how much they learn. And I would call that just leading others, even if you're not technically their report. As a senior engineer, they might not report to you, but they might look to you, and the team might look to you to lead and drive consensus. And another big part of being a senior engineer is working with a business, working with non-engineers, being able to work with product and marketing and sales, and to understand their needs and their inputs. And instead of just having it be all about the tech and all about the code, a lot of times senior engineers work with a business and they understand trade-offs. They can make those trade-offs that maybe junior engineers won't be able to do, because all they're thinking about is solving a certain problem a certain way, when when senior engineers are thinking about, where can I make a trade-off here to actually get this project done on time and on budget. And when it comes to the tech skills, I think a senior engineer, yes, they're good programmers. They kind of keep up on what's happening in whatever domain they're working on. They probably know more than one language. They're probably reading books and understanding and kind of following the flow of what's happening in that domain so they can make informed decisions. They have a lot of other high level skills like architecture and design, doing research and documentation. And I think the key thing here about senior engineers is they broaden their horizon. It's not just about writing code. It's about opening up those horizons, leading others, planning projects, knowing what trade-offs to make, mentoring others, system design, things like that. To boil it down to what senior engineers have to be good at, it's really about the stuff around the code. It's not always about the code. They do care about good code. They are good coders, but they care about the things that surround the processes that surround the writing of code, if you can think about it like that. So again, my recommendation for those who aren't a senior plus engineer yet and are looking to move that way, I would say, yes, be a good coder, focus on becoming and perfecting your craft and being the best at it. But I'd also say work on all the soft skills that you really don't think about, whether it's mentoring people, thinking about leading projects, doing design docs, documentation, stuff like that. Take your time to learn that things, and that'll set you apart from your peers.